The red grease pencil rolls off my desk when Grant Voss slaps the closure notice against our production board. It hits the carpet between two empty banker's boxes and leaves a red slash across the gray fibers. "Effective immediately," Grant says. Behind him, 6 monitors still glow with open warranty claims from grocery stores across 11 states. "Your work is redundant." It is 8:17 on Monday morning. North Star Markets is due at 9 to renew the largest service contract Calder Refrigeration has ever had. By 8:52, I am packing my second box when Celia Rourke walks through the department's glass door with North Star's contract binder against her hip. She stops at the sight of the empty desks. "Who covers the warranty?" she asks. Grant smiles as if she has given him the first question in a presentation he rehearsed all weekend. "Our integrated customer support model." "The North Star Performance Warranty," Celia says. 5 years, 184 cases. "Who is certifying the quarterly verifications?" Grant looks at me. I know the answer. What I don't know is how much it is going to cost me not to give it to him. The room smells faintly of cardboard and the lemon cleaner the night crew uses on the glass. Owen Pike is wrapping his ceramic coffee mug in a Calder polo shirt. Lena has one hand over her mouth and the other clenched around a framed photograph of herself crossing a marathon finish line. Priya is still sitting at her desk, clicking her mouse every few seconds, testing whether her access has been cut yet. Grant adjusts one cuff. "We'll cover the details during the renewal review." Celia studies him. She's a compact woman with silver threaded through her black bob and a talent for making silence feel itemized. 27 locations still have commissioning exceptions, she says. 3 are missing the spring heat load verification. Are those covered? Our service organization has assumed all active obligations. Which person? Grant's eyes come back to me. I tuck the grease pencil into the breast pocket of my work shirt. "You closed her department?" Celia asks. We consolidated overlapping functions. 43 minutes before this meeting. The timing was driven by an internal transition schedule. From the hallway, Wade Kessler, our head of sales, appears carrying a tray of coffees and wearing the expression of a man who has arrived at the church just as someone objects to the wedding. "Morning," he says carefully. "We've got the conference room set up." Celia doesn't move. "I'd like Mara in the review." Grant's smile tightens. Mara is no longer part of the account structure. She was on the agenda you sent Friday. That agenda has been updated. Celia looks at the boxes, then at me. "Did you know about this?" "Not until 8:17. Grant steps between us without seeming to. He is good at movements like that, small, polished corrections that rearrange a room before anyone calls them rude. "We should respect employee privacy," he says. It is an elegant sentence. It makes me sound fragile and Celia sound intrusive. She gives him a level look. 30-day extension, existing terms. Wade nearly drops the coffee tray. "We're here to execute a 5-year renewal," Grant says. "We were." Celia turns to Wade. "Send me a clean extension by noon. We'll review the operating model before we commit beyond that." Then she looks at me again, and for 1 second I see anger in her face. Not pity, anger. "Take care of yourself, Mara." Grant waits until the North Star group disappears down the hallway. "That was unnecessary," he says. I glance at the closure notice pinned crookedly over our production board. "Which part?" He lowers his voice. "You had an opportunity to reassure a customer." I didn't hear a question directed to me. "You knew what she was asking." "Yes, and you chose not to help." Priya's mouse clicks once behind us. Lena lowers her hand from her mouth. I say, "You just told the room my work was redundant." Grant's jaw shifts, almost too little to see. "This is exactly the kind of territorial thinking we're moving away from." He turns to the others. "Human Resources will meet with each of you individually. Please have your personal belongings removed by 11. Company records stay here." "We know," Owen says. Grant looks at him, perhaps surprised to hear his voice. Owen is the sort of person people mistake for timid because he waits until he has something useful to say. I'm glad, Grant replies. As he leaves, Owen unwraps his mug, looks at the polo shirt, and wraps it again more tightly. Lena lets out a breath that shakes. Did we just lose $80 million? 30-day extension, I say. That isn't what I asked. No, we didn't lose it. Did he? I look at the warranty matrix on the center monitor. Red cells mark exceptions that need field verification. Yellow cells mark parts authorizations. Green means the file is complete enough to survive a dispute. Pack your personal things, I tell her. Leave the rest exactly where it is. Priya turns from her computer. My access still works. Don't download anything. I was going to print my performance review. You can print that, nothing from a customer file. She stares at me. He's going to say we left a mess. Then we leave him a very organized mess. That gets a short laugh from Owen. It is the only laugh in the room. At 9:26, a human resources representative named Beth arrives with 7 envelopes and an expression borrowed from a funeral director. Beth and I have eaten lunch together at least 20 times. She knows I hate raw tomatoes, and I know she keeps emergency sewing supplies in her desk. She does not meet my eyes when she says, Mara, Grant would like you to go last. Of course he would. I don't control the order. I know. She looks relieved, which makes me dislike both of us for a moment. While the others cycle through a vacant office with Beth, I walk the department one desk at a time. We have spent 4 years building routines so ordinary that no one outside the room notices them. Owen checks duplicate claims every morning before his coffee. Lena keeps failed gasket samples in labeled plastic bags because photographs do not show how rubber stiffens after repeated freeze cycles. Priya calls field technicians after lunch when the first rush of emergency jobs is over and they are more likely to talk. I review every red exception on Mondays with a grease pencil and a printed list. The pencil was my father's, though there is nothing sentimental about the object itself. It is 3 inches long, flat on one side from use, and wrapped in peeling paper that once said, China marker, red. My father repaired restaurant equipment until his hands became too stiff for small screws. He gave me the pencil when I got my first quality control job. If you can't find the machine's history, he told me, you're not repairing it. You're guessing. The red marks on our screens began with marks on paper. Grant loved the matrix when he first arrived. That was 7 weeks earlier. He had come from an agricultural equipment company where he combined 9 regional service offices into 3. The announcement from Calder's president described him as a disciplined operator with a record of profitable transformation. He was younger than I expected, maybe early 40s, with runner's shoulders and no visible impatience. On his first morning, he carried his own laptop charger and asked our receptionist where to find a glass instead of requesting bottled water. People like that. I like that. During our first meeting, he sat at the corner of my desk and asked why Calder had a separate warranty operations department. Because sales promises things, service fixes things, and accounting pays for things, I said. We keep them from describing the same failure 3 different ways. He laughed. That sounded rehearsed. I've had practice. Then I showed him the North Star matrix. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and asked sharp questions. Why were compressor claims higher in stores with south-facing glass? Why did 2 installation contractors generate 5 times as many door alignment exceptions? Could commissioning photographs be scored automatically? He understood systems. He also understood how to make a person feel interesting while extracting everything she knew. At the end, he tapped the red column on my printout. This is excellent, Mara. Exactly the visibility I've been looking for. I went home that night and told Daniel the new vice president might be good. Daniel was slicing mushrooms at the kitchen counter. You say that like you're disappointed. I had 3 speeches ready for an idiot. Save them. Management has a long season. 2 weeks later, Grant asked each department head to quantify tasks that could be automated, transferred, or stopped. I listed 9 tasks. He asked why there weren't more. because the remaining work involves contract interpretation or field judgment. Judgment is often just undocumented process. Sometimes? He smiled. I'm going to make an optimist out of you. What am I now? Highly functional caution. It sounded flattering until he used the phrase in a meeting with Wade. By Friday before the closure, I knew where he was going. He presented a consolidation model that moved intake to customer service, claim approval to accounting, and technical review to sales engineering. An outsourced center in Omaha would handle status updates. The slide showed 6 positions removed and annual savings of $712,000. My department was a blue rectangle divided among 4 other boxes. I raised my hand even though there were only 9 people in the room. Where is warranty governance? Grant clicked back 1 slide. Distributed among the process owners. That isn't governance. Say more. It was one of his habits. Say more meant everyone would watch you build the case against yourself. North Star's warranty requires quarterly certification by personnel with access to commissioning and repair history. Accounting can approve a payment, but it can't determine whether a compressor failed from a manufacturing defect or an unapproved field modification. Sales engineering will make technical determinations. Using which claim file? The shared system. The shared system holds documents. It doesn't reconcile exceptions. His expression stayed pleasant. Your matrix does. My team maintains the matrix. Then your team will transfer that knowledge during implementation. Over what period? 2 weeks. Wade stopped turning his pen. I said, North Star renews Monday. And the customer experience will remain seamless. It won't. The room went very still. Grant placed the clicker on the table. That's a strong statement. It's a specific one. We have 27 commissioning exceptions. 3 heat load reports are late because North Star remodeled those stores after installation. The performance warranty treats remodel-related failures differently unless we verify the new conditions. You've documented that? Yes. Then the documentation remains. The work doesn't do itself because the file remains. Grant nodded slowly, as though I had finally revealed the problem he had suspected. This attachment to personal ownership is why processes become vulnerable. Heat climbed my neck. It isn't personal ownership. It's assigned accountability, which is being reassigned. To whom? He looked toward the slide instead of answering. After the meeting, Beth caught me by the copier. You need to be careful, she murmured. With what? The way you challenge him. I asked who owns the obligation. You told a vice president his plan won't work. Those are connected. Beth glanced toward the conference room. He thinks you're protecting your head count. I am protecting my head count. They do necessary work. You know what I mean. I did. I just wanted her to say it. Friday afternoon, Grant sent me a continuity statement to sign. It said all active warranty obligations could be administered without disruption after consolidation. The signature block labeled me process owner. I returned it unsigned with 3 corrections and a list of unresolved North Star exceptions. At 6:14, he replied, "We'll discuss Monday morning." At home, Daniel had takeout spread across the coffee table and a folder from the accessible apartment complex near my mother's physical therapy clinic. The deposit was due in 12 days. "You look pale," he said. I handed him my phone. He read the email twice. "What happens if you sign?" "My name says the transition is safe." "Is it?" "No." "What happens if you don't?" I looked at the apartment deposit sheet. "I think we find out Monday." Now Monday has found us. At 10:48, Beth calls me into the vacant office. My envelope contains 8 weeks of severance, health coverage through the end of the month, and a retention payment listed as forfeited because my position has been eliminated before the eligibility date. The amount beside that line is almost exactly the apartment deposit. Beth folds her hands. One thumbnail has a fresh tear across the polish. "I'm sorry," she says. "Did Grant choose the date?" Mara. Did he? The restructuring schedule was his decision. I read the page again, though the numbers remain the same. Beth slides a second document across the table. He's willing to release the retention payment if you provide transition support through Friday and sign the continuity certification. There it is, my first chance to purchase back money I have already earned. I touch the grease pencil through my shirt pocket. Can I correct the certification? Grant said the language is final. Then my answer is final. Beth closes her eyes for half a second. You could sign and still explain the issues. My signature would say there are no issues. You're making this harder. For who? Her face changes. The funeral expression slips, and my lunch friend looks back at me tired and angry. For yourself, she says. I mean for yourself. I put the papers into the envelope. At 11, security disables my badge. I carry my boxes through the lobby while, behind the frosted conference room glass, Grant tries to persuade North Star that 6 missing people amount to a cleaner process. Outside, Daniel is waiting at the curb in our dented Subaru. He takes one look at my face, gets out, and opens the hatch. How bad? He asks. I hand him the envelope. He reads the first page beside the open trunk. Traffic moves around us. Somewhere across the parking lot, a truck reverses with a steady electronic beep. Daniel looks up. You didn't sign? No. He nods once and puts the envelope on top of my boxes. Then he notices the red streak across my cuff where the grease pencil has bled through the pocket. You're marked, he says. I rub at it with my thumb. The wax only spreads. I know. The stain survives 2 washes. By Wednesday, the red wax has settled into the weave of my work shirt in the shape of a small, blurry continent. Daniel holds it up over the laundry basket and says, maybe Portugal. Portugal doesn't have 3 elbows. Then it's a country with an ambitious coastline. He drapes the shirt over the back of a kitchen chair. We've both been awake since 5, pretending not to calculate money. The apartment deposit sheet sits under a ceramic bowl full of keys. When the property manager opens at 8, I call and ask whether we can move the date. She gives us 4 days. What happens after that? I ask. We offer the unit to the next applicant. My mother has spent 6 months acting as if the move is our idea. She complains about the beige cabinets, the short balcony, and the little emergency pull cord in the bathroom. She also measured the living room twice and quietly gave away a bookcase that would not fit. I ask her to meet us for lunch at a Vietnamese place near her physical therapy clinic. She arrives using her cane as if it has personally offended her. You're wearing lipstick at noon, she says when she sees me. Who died? Sit down, Mom. That bad? Daniel reaches for her chair, but she waves him off and lowers herself carefully. She studies my face while I tell her what happened. I leave out Grant's exact words. I include the money. Her first question is, did you sign? No. Good. Mom, the deposit, I heard you. The unit might be gone by Monday. Then it's gone. You need a place without stairs. I needed one last month, too. I remained alive out of spite. Daniel covers his mouth with his napkin. My mother points at him. Don't encourage me. I didn't say anything. You have a loud face. The server brings tea. My mother waits until he leaves, then leans closer. I will not move into an apartment paid for by you putting your name on a lie. It wasn't a lie exactly. Daniel looks at me. I sigh. It was a sentence designed to make later lies easier. There. Worse. She spoons chili paste into her broth. You'll find another place. You like this one. I like the closet. I can moor in a closet. Her hand shakes slightly as she sets down the spoon. She pretends not to notice. I pretend with her. On the way home, Daniel drives while I search job listings. Quality manager, regional service coordinator, claims supervisor for a medical device company requiring 7 years of experience with federal reporting. Every description sounds familiar until the last 3 lines, where it becomes someone else's life. At a red light, Daniel says, "You don't have to find the next thing today." I know. You've applied to 11 jobs. 8. Sorry, very relaxed. I lock the phone. I'm allowed to be scared, I say. I know. You're doing that voice. What voice? The one where you make being reasonable sound like a hostage situation. He grips the wheel. I don't know how to help you when every suggestion becomes an accusation. The light turns green. A car behind us taps its horn. I didn't ask you to help. I know, he says, and this time the two words land hard. We drive the rest of the way without speaking. At home, I find a message from Owen in our former department's group chat. Would anyone object to coffee tomorrow? Neutral territory. No branded mugs. Priya replies with 6 suggestions in 40 seconds. Lena chooses a diner near Calder because she has to go back for a benefits appointment. I almost tell them I cannot make it. Then I picture Owen drinking from a paper cup so no one can accuse him of stealing company ceramics. Thursday morning, all 6 of us squeeze into a booth, meant for 4. Owen orders coffee. Lena orders pie. Priya orders eggs, then remembers she is too angry to eat. Darius, who handled parts recoveries, has brought a legal pad. We should coordinate references, he says. Good morning to you too, Lena replies. I've been awake since 3. So have I. I didn't become organized. We compare severance terms. Grant offered the same continuity bargain to Lena and Darius because they held secondary approvals. Both refused. Priya received no offer. Owen received 1 extra week of severance in exchange for signing a broad non-disparagement clause, which he has not signed. Why me? He asks. Because you know where duplicate payments are, I say. He stirs his coffee. I thought it was because I look suppressible. Lena points her fork at him. You need to stop hiding jokes in that face. The waitress approaches with a pot. Owen lifts his mug before she can reach it. You're at 6 cups, I tell him. It's mostly fear now. For 10 minutes, we sound like ourselves. Then Darius asks the question, waiting in the center of the table. How much can we help them? No one needs him to explain who they are. Priya says, they fired us. I'm aware. You sound like you're taking minutes. I take minutes when I'm upset. Lena folds her napkin into a narrow strip. Wade emailed me yesterday. He wanted to know why a gasket claim had 2 installation dates. Did you answer? I ask. I told him to check the commissioning report. There are 3 commissioning reports for that store, Priya says. I know. You told him enough to waste an hour, but not enough to solve it. Lena looks offended. I assumed a vice president had built a seamless experience. A laugh moves around the booth, meaner than the first one. I understand the temptation. Every mistake behind Calder's walls will feel like a small repayment. But customers will lose product. Field technicians will get blamed. Someone in accounting will approve a claim using the wrong date because Grant told her the process had been transferred. You can answer questions about your own employment or performance, I say. Don't access anything. Don't send company information. If Calder wants transition work, it can put terms in writing. Darius writes that down. It wasn't an instruction, I tell him. It was a good sentence. Priya pushes her untouched eggs around. What if they blame us? Keep your reviews. Keep the emails they already sent to personal accounts. Write down what happened while it's fresh. Like litigation? Like memory. The word quiets us. On my way out, Owen catches up beside the register. Mara. He rarely uses my name unless something is wrong. What? I may have left a duplicate claim review running Friday night. Running where? In Calder's reporting system. Scheduled query. Did it email you? No, it sends the output to the shared claims folder every Monday at 6. Then it belongs to Calder. I know. But accounting won't know what it is. It looks like a list of claims with repeated invoice numbers. That is what it is. Some repeats are legitimate. Split freight, partial labor, resubmitted taxes. I know. If they cancel all the repeats, Owen, he stops. You do not log in. You do not ask someone else to send it. You do not touch it. His shoulders drop. Right. If Calder asks you to explain the report, get the request in writing. He nods, but he does not leave. What else? I should have put instructions in the folder. You explained that report every Monday to accounts payable. Not in writing. Grant had 2 weeks in his plan for knowledge transfer. He used none of it. That doesn't make the folder clearer. There it is, the thing I recognize in him, because I have it too. The belief that if something breaks after we leave, its broken pieces can still prove we were careless. I take the legal pad from Darius, who has wandered over to listen, and write one sentence. The duplicate claim report requires manual validation before action. I tear off the page and hand it to Owen. There. Those are the instructions. Keep them in your pocket. He reads the sentence. That doesn't help Calder. It helps you remember what was true. At 2:10 that afternoon, Beth emails me a consulting agreement. 6 weeks, 30 hours a week, almost twice my old hourly rate. The opening paragraph says, Calder requires temporary assistance to ensure completion of the process documentation initiated under Ms. Ellis's management. Under my management, the indemnification clause is on page 11. It makes me responsible for losses arising from errors, omissions, incomplete records, or incorrect interpretations connected to the transition. The certification is attached as Exhibit C, unchanged. I read the contract 3 times. Then I take a shower, put on clean clothes, and read it again. Daniel comes home to find pages spread across the kitchen table. He sets down a bag of groceries. Is that from Calder? Yes. How much? I point to the first page. He whistles softly. I know. 6 weeks would cover the deposit, and about half the move. He reads until page 11. His mouth flattens. They can sue you? Probably not successfully. They can make me spend money proving that. Can you change it? I can ask. He sits across from me. What do you want me to say? It is an honest question, and that makes it harder. I want you to say we can survive if I turn it down. We can survive. You hesitated. I was checking whether survive includes eating cheese. Despite myself, I smile. Daniel reaches across the papers and takes my hand. We can survive, he says again. I may become very unpleasant about the electric bill. You already follow me around turning off lamps. I can grow. I send a counter-proposal before dinner. I will explain the warranty matrix, claim classifications, and North Star's commissioning exceptions. I will not approve claims, supervise Calder employees, certify operational continuity, or accept liability for records I cannot control. All questions will be submitted through one designated contact. Every session will be documented. My rate is higher than the one Grant offered. At 8:03 the next morning, he asks me to come in. I request a video meeting instead. At 8:20, his face appears on my laptop from the conference room where he presented the consolidation plan. Wade sits beside him. Beth is present but partially outside the camera frame. Grant opens with warmth. Mara, I'm glad we're talking. I read the agreement. And I read your revisions. The rate isn't the issue. I assumed it wasn't. Your scope is too restrictive. We need someone who can own the transition. You reassigned ownership. He glances down. We don't need to relitigate organizational decisions. I agree. Then let's focus on the work. The documentation your department left is incomplete. Which documentation? Wade rubs his eyebrow. Grant says, there are numerous judgment-based steps that aren't captured in procedure. That was my objection last Friday. We're past objections. Then what are you asking me? I'm asking you to stand behind the system you managed. I will explain the system I managed. I won't stand behind a different one. The warmth leaves his voice. You understand that refusing reasonable transition support may affect how Calder responds to reference requests. Beth turns toward him. I feel something cold and precise settle under my ribs. Would Calder give an inaccurate reference? I'm saying senior leaders are asked whether former managers were cooperative. Put that in writing. Mara, put the work you need, the authority I'd have, and the reference concern in writing. He leans back. Wade studies the table as if there might be a trapdoor in it. You're making a serious mistake, Grant says. Then it should be easy to document. He ends the meeting 8 minutes later. By noon, Beth sends a 2-sentence rejection of my counter-proposal. Calder has chosen another transition resource. No additional support is required. A week passes without a response from any of the jobs I applied for. My mother loses the apartment with the good closet. Daniel starts taking Saturday emergency shifts without telling me until the schedule is posted on the refrigerator. Calder announces a partnership with Meridian Warranty Solutions, a national claims administrator based in Omaha. The press release says the arrangement will improve response times through standardized decision-making. On the same day, Lena forwards me a public job posting for her old position under a new title, Customer Resolution Analyst. The listed salary is $9,000 lower. She adds one sentence. Apparently, redundancy has a budget. I do not answer until I have something kinder than what comes first. The following Tuesday, Celia sends me an email from her North Star address. I'm not requesting Calder records. I would like your general interpretation of one contract term. If this creates a conflict, say so. Attached is a single page from North Star's own warranty schedule. Section 8.4 is highlighted. It covers compressor failures after store remodels and requires a heat load verification before Calder can deny the claim. Beneath her message is Meridian's decision on Store 442. Claim denied. Customer modification voided applicable coverage. I read both documents twice. Then I look at the date. The remodel happened in February. The compressor failed in May. The quarterly verification was scheduled for March and postponed by Calder because the assigned technician was pulled into an emergency installation. The claim is covered. I start typing, stop, and place both hands flat on the table. Celia knows the answer. She is asking whether I am still willing to say it. I type one sentence. Section 8.4 requires verification before denial. It does not make a missed verification equivalent to a failed one. Then I add, this is a reading of the language you provided, not a determination about any claim. Celia replies 3 minutes later. Understood. Thank you. That is all. I spend the next hour wondering whether I have been careful or cowardly. At 11, my mother arrives carrying a lamp from the apartment she did not get. What are you doing here? I ask. Daniel said you needed supervision. Daniel is at work. He plans ahead. She sets the lamp on my kitchen counter. It has a brass base and a shade the color of oatmeal. You bought that for the new place. I still require light. You hate that lamp. I hate the shade. The lamp has potential. She finds the Meridian denial on the table before I can turn it over. Are you allowed to have this? It belongs to the customer. Is it wrong? Yes. Did you tell them? I answered the question they asked. My mother reads my reply, lips moving slightly over the contract language. This sounds like you swallowed a stapler. It needed to be precise. It needed to be human. It's a warranty interpretation. That woman watched you carry boxes through a lobby. I take the page from her, which is exactly why I have to be careful. I'm not going to turn every Calder mistake into a private consulting opportunity. Why not? Because I don't work for North Star. You don't work for anybody. The words land before she can soften them. She looks away and touches the lampshade. That came out wrong. It came out accurate. Accurate and useful are cousins who don't always speak. I laugh once without wanting to. My mother reaches into her bag and pulls out a folded sheet. I found another apartment. You found one? 2 blocks farther from the clinic. The bathroom is uglier. Can you manage the stairs? 1 step at the entrance, Daniel measured it. Of course he did. The rent is lower, she says. The closet is an insult, but I own too many coats. We can look at it tomorrow. I already looked. I put down the application fee. With what money? My money, Mara. I start to object. She raises 1 finger. Do not make integrity your latest excuse for controlling everyone. That surprises me into silence. She adjusts the lampshade until its seam faces the wall. You got that from me, she says. The controlling. I know. The integrity came from your father. It was very tiring living with both of us. She leaves the lamp on my counter. That afternoon, Celia forwards a revised determination from Meridian. The claim is under review pending heat load documentation. It is a retreat disguised as a status update. 2 more days pass. Then a North Star facilities manager sends Calder a notice identifying 6 claims with inconsistent coverage decisions. Celia copies me only on the final paragraph where North Star invokes its right to request a warranty process review before executing the 5-year renewal. I do not answer. She has not asked me anything. Grant does. His email arrives at 6:42 Friday evening. Mara, your communication with North Star is creating confusion regarding the transition. As a former Calder manager, you remain obligated to protect confidential business information. Please direct further customer inquiries to me. He copies Beth and Calder's general counsel. I read it at the kitchen counter beneath my mother's ugly lamp. Daniel comes in carrying a paper bag of tacos and sees my face. What happened? I turn the laptop toward him. He reads the message. Did you send confidential information? No. Did you contact North Star? No. Then why does this sound like you were selling blueprints in an alley? Because he wants the reply to sound defensive. What are you going to say? I open a new message. I have not provided Calder records or confidential information. North Star asked for my general reading of language from its own agreement. Please identify any statement you believe was inaccurate. Daniel sets the tacos down. That's better than the stapler sentence. My mother has been here. I know. She texted me a photo of the lamp. I send the reply. Grant does not identify an inaccuracy. Beth responds Monday to confirm receipt, and the general counsel never joins the exchange. The message still does what Grant meant it to do. Every time someone from Calder appears in my inbox, my stomach tightens. I stop using the dining table for job applications because I have begun associating the grain of the wood with accusation. Then 2 companies reject me in one afternoon. The second recruiter is embarrassed enough to be honest. You were the strongest technical candidate, she says during our scheduled feedback call. The concern was fit. What kind of fit? A pause. Your reference described you as highly capable but resistant during organizational change. Which reference? I'm not able to share that. Was it Grant Voss? Another pause, longer this time. I really can't share it. Thank you, I say. You just did. I walk into the bedroom, open the envelope for my termination, and spread my last 3 performance reviews across the bed. Exceeds expectations, builds cross-functional cooperation, led successful adoption of automated claim classification. Wade wrote the last one before Grant arrived. Daniel finds me there when he gets home. You look like you're planning a murder with office supplies. I'm comparing adjectives. He reads the reviews. Resistant? Apparently. Can Beth do that? Calder can give opinions. Can they give opinions that happen to be nonsense? Frequently. He sits on the edge of the bed. What now? I stop using Grant as a reference. Were you using him? I listed Calder Human Resources. Recruiters call whoever they know. Daniel picks up the review describing my automation project. Then give them this. Hiring managers don't want a defense file. They want a candidate with no smoke around her. Maybe stop applying to people who know Grant. That removes half the manufacturers in the region. Then half the manufacturers are boring. I look at him. I know, he says. Cheese depends on boring manufacturers. My first laugh comes out as a sob. Daniel puts the papers aside and holds me while I hate Grant. The bedroom and the humiliating gratitude of being held together by someone who also has to wake up at 5. Owen calls the next morning. It is the first time any of us have used the phone instead of the group chat. I got an offer, he says. That's wonderful. I haven't accepted. Why? They asked about Calder. The happiness drains out of my voice. What did he say? Not Grant. I gave them Wade. Wade said I was dependable and weirdly good at spotting duplicate freight. That sounds like Wade. The hiring manager asked why the entire group was eliminated if our work was necessary. What did you say? I said they should ask Calder. Owen. I know. It sounded sarcastic after it came out. What's the company? Harbor Field Services. I sit up straighter. Harbor maintains commercial refrigeration for regional chains. Calder has subcontracted installations to them when our own field teams were overloaded. What's the role? Warranty Recovery Analyst. They've been leaving reimbursable parts claims on the table. You'd be good at that. They want to meet you. Why? I showed them the automated claim report from my performance review. You showed them a Calder report? My performance review. It says I helped recover $480,000 in duplicate and missed reimbursements. No customer data. I let out the breath I was holding. The director asked who built the process. Owen continues. I said, you built the team. I built the team that built the process. That's what I told her after she asked why I talk like a brochure when I'm nervous. The meeting is with Harbor's operations director, Naomi Bell, at a service depot on the industrial side of town. Daniel calls the outfit I choose aggressively employable. I change anyway. The depot smells like hot dust, rubber belts, and burnt coffee. Compressors sit on pallets beside shelves of valves and fan motors. A technician at a workbench is using a dental mirror to inspect a weld. Naomi meets me in a narrow office with 2 chairs that do not match. She has cropped gray hair, heavy work boots, and a tiny gold watch. Owen says you know warranty, she says. Owen knows warranty. He says that too. Then he says you know why it behaves badly. That sounds more like him. She hands me a Harbor service ticket. The technician replaced 2 evaporator fan motors at a North Star store. Harbor billed North Star. The motors failed within Calder's equipment warranty, but no recovery claim was submitted to Calder. Who owns this money? She asks. North Star, unless its maintenance agreement assigns recovery rights to Harbor. It does. Then Harbor. Why didn't Calder tell us? Calder doesn't know your billing terms. Why didn't my people catch it? I scan the ticket. Your technician wrote fan noise as the failure. Calder's warranty needs a failure code and serial number. The serial number is on the attached photo. Your billing system doesn't read photos. Naomi smiles slightly. Judgment is undocumented process? I look at her. Owen told me about your former vice president. He shouldn't have. He was explaining why you might walk out if I used the word synergy. I might. She takes back the ticket. I'm not looking for a manager. I'm looking for someone to design a recovery process for 6 weeks. Consulting? Yes. Authority? To access Harbor files and interview Harbor employees. Nothing from Calder unless we receive it through normal claim channels. Deliverable? A working procedure, training, and account of recoverable claims. No certification that Calder will accept them. Obviously. It wasn't obvious at my last meeting. Naomi's smile disappears. I don't need you to protect me from the risk of doing business. I need you to tell me where the risk is. She offers less than Calder did and accepts every boundary in my proposed scope. I start Monday. The first week is almost embarrassingly satisfying. I sit with technicians who call every failed motor fan bad, and accounts clerks who know exactly which customers reject invoices containing semicolons. Owen begins on Wednesday. He arrives with his ceramic mug in a cardboard box and places it beside his monitor without comment. By Friday, we identify 73 claims Harbor can legitimately recover. We also find 12 North Star repairs that may fall under the disputed performance warranty. Naomi circles those 12 with my red grease pencil. You always carry this? She asks. Usually. Does red mean bad? Red means someone has to decide. She rolls the pencil back across the desk. North Star asked whether we can provide independent warranty review. I catch it before it reaches the edge. What did you say? That we maintain equipment. We don't administer contracts. Good. She asked whether we could. That's a different question. Naomi waits. I look through the office window. Owen is showing an accounts clerk why 2 identical compressor invoices are not duplicates when one covers labor and the other covers freight. He points to the fields, patient, and exact. The clerk nods. You'd need people who understand claims, field conditions, and contract exceptions, I say. How many? 3 to start, maybe 4. I have field conditions. You don't have the rest. I have you and Owen for 6 weeks. Naomi leans back. Write me a proposal. I do, not for taking Calder's warranty away, and not for deciding claims in secret. Harbor would verify records independently, flag conflicts, and give Northstar a traceable basis for challenging or approving coverage decisions. Calder would still repair its equipment and honor its agreements. Harbor would make it harder for anyone to pretend the paperwork said something it did not. Priya joins us for dinner the night Naomi approves the pilot budget. Lena comes straight from an interview at a parts distributor. Darius brings his legal pad. You're building our old department, Priya says. No, I tell her. Harbor already has technicians and billing. This is smaller. Are you hiring? 2 contract analysts if Northstar agrees. Darius clicks his pen. Lena grabs it from him. Eat first. Northstar agrees to a 30-day pilot, limited to claims under its existing extension. Priya takes 1 analyst position. Lena accepts the job with the parts distributor, but agrees to consult on gasket failures by the hour. Darius finds work with a logistics company and sends us a template for documenting decision ownership. Our old department does not reassemble. It changes shape. Grant notices. The day before Northstar's extension expires, a courier delivers a sealed Calder envelope to Harbor. Inside is a revised 5-year renewal proposal and a formal invitation to the final contract review. Naomi is invited as Northstar's maintenance provider. I am listed as independent warranty advisor. Clipped to the front is a handwritten note from Grant. Before this becomes more adversarial, I'd like to discuss restoring your role. I read it twice. Then my phone lights up with a message from Celia. Bring your red matrix. Calder says every exception is resolved. I reply before I can talk myself into a more diplomatic sentence. I can't bring Calder's matrix. It belongs to Calder. Celia answers almost immediately. Bring one built from Northstar Records. That takes longer. Northstar owns its contracts, store remodel schedules, maintenance reports, and the claim decisions Calder and Meridian sent it. Harbor owns its technician records. Between them, we can reconstruct most of the disputed history without touching a Calder file. Most is not all. I spend the afternoon at a folding table in Harbor's parts warehouse with Priya on one side and Owen on the other. We build a clean workbook from authorized records and mark every gap instead of filling it with memory. Owen points to store 118. I remember why the commissioning date changed. So do I say. There was a delayed electrical inspection. Can we prove that from these records? No. Then it stays blank. Priya leans over the screen. That makes Calder look better. Without the delay, Northstar appears responsible. We're not making anyone look like anything. She gives me a tired look. You understand people are going to use this to decide who pays money. Yes. Then it isn't neutral. No, but it can be accurate. She sits back, dissatisfied but listening. By 7, we have 19 unresolved exceptions, 4 more than Calder disclosed in its revised proposal. 3 involve the remodel heat load reports. 6 involve serial numbers that do not match the cases shown in commissioning photographs. 2 involve duplicate labor payments that may be legitimate split invoices. The rest need technician verification. Lena joins us by video and examines gasket photographs from 4 stores. Those aren't installation tears, she says. Look at the whitening near the corner. Material fatigue? Priya asks. Probably, but probably buys nothing. Northstar still has the samples? Celia has kept them in a facilities storeroom after the first settlement. The next morning, Northstar delivers 2 sealed sample bags to Harbor with chain of custody forms. Lena comes in before work, bends each strip under a bright bench lamp, and identifies the tiny surface cracks she taught us to look for. What does that establish? Naomi asks. That Calder needs to inspect them, Lena says. It doesn't establish liability. Naomi looks at me. You trained them to answer like that? They trained me. Grant asks to meet 30 minutes before the contract review. I agree only after he confirms Naomi can attend. His office is on Calder's executive floor, a place I visited twice during my 7 years with the company. The carpet is darker than the carpet downstairs and apparently better at resisting grease pencil. Grant rises when Naomi and I enter. Mara, Naomi, thank you. A blue folder sits in front of the empty chair across from him. He does not waste time. We're prepared to restore Mara as Director of Warranty Integration, effective immediately. Director, the salary inside the folder is 23% higher than my old one. The retention payment is restored. There's a signing bonus large enough to cover my mother's move and replace what Daniel and I have taken from savings. Naomi reads the first page, then pushes the folder toward me. Grant says, "You would report directly to me and lead the Meridian relationship. We'd also consider bringing back 2 members of your former team." Consider, based on need. What would happen to Harbor's pilot? That would be a matter between Harbor and North Star. Naomi crosses one ankle over the other, meaning you'd tell North Star independent review is unnecessary once Mara returns. I'd tell them Calder has addressed the continuity concern. Grant turns to me. This is a chance to fix the process properly. You wanted assigned accountability. I'm assigning it. It is skillful because it is partly true. I wanted authority attached to responsibility. I wanted Grant to admit the work existed. Now both things are in a blue folder, accompanied by enough money to make refusal feel theatrical. What would I be certifying? I ask. The warranty governance model. Before or after I assess it? We need assurance today. So before. You know the system. I know the system you closed. I haven't supervised Meridian. You've spent weeks criticizing their decisions. I identified conflicts in customer records. Grant presses his lips together. Naomi says, "What authority would she have to reverse Meridian?" "We would define escalation procedures." "That means none yet," I say. His gaze hardens. "Mara, every operating model launches with imperfect information. Leadership means accepting responsibility before every variable is comfortable. And your model launched without anyone accepting it. I accepted it. No, you assigned the work to 4 departments and an outside vendor. When it failed, you asked me to certify the transition retroactively." He looks at Naomi. "Could we speak privately?" "No," I say. A flash of surprise crosses his face. I place the folder back on his desk. My finger rests on the signature line. There is a Calder pen beside it, heavy and silver. I reach into my bag instead and take out the red grease pencil. I draw a line beneath the paragraph requiring me to warrant that the current process satisfies all active customer obligations. "I can explain the warranty," I say. "I won't pretend you're covering it." The pencil leaves a thick red mark on the polished page. Grant stares at it. "You're choosing a 30-day pilot over a director position." "I'm choosing work I'm allowed to verify. Harbor cannot give you the platform Calder can. That's true. You'll have fewer resources, fewer benefits, and 1 customer who can end the experiment next month." That's also true. Something in his face changes. The anger remains, but beneath it is a tiredness I have not seen before. "My mandate is to remove $7 million in annual cost," he says. "Not 700,000, 7 million. If North Star walks, people far beyond your department lose jobs." It is the first time he has stated the whole pressure. Then why didn't you tell us that before the closure? Because leaders don't spread panic every time a lender changes a ratio. People can solve problems they're allowed to see. And people defend every familiar task as essential. I have done this long enough to know the difference. "You were right about some of ours." He pauses. "We could have automated status emails," I say. "Accounting could own routine approvals. We had 3 reports that no one used. You never asked us to make the 700,000 smaller. You decided it had to disappear." The savings needed to be real. So did the warranty. Naomi checks her watch. The customer is waiting. The contract review takes place in the same conference room where Grant divided my department among 4 blue boxes. This time, Celia sits at the center of North Star's side. Wade is beside Grant, along with Calder's finance director and a Meridian operations manager joining on a wall screen. Celia begins without small talk. Calder's revised proposal states that all commissioning exceptions are resolved. They are, Grant says. I open Harbor's workbook on the room display. North Star and Harbor records show 19 exceptions requiring resolution. The Meridian manager leans toward her camera. Our review found 14 of those administratively complete. Administratively complete means documents are present, Priya says from beside me. Her voice is steady. It doesn't mean the documents agree. Grant looks at her, as if he has only now realized one of the people he eliminated is back in the room. She opens store 203. The commissioning report lists one serial number. The warranty claim lists another. The installation photograph shows a third, partially visible behind a conduit. Which unit is covered? Celia asks. The Meridian manager says they will need technical review. By whom? Calder Sales Engineering, Grant says. Wade clears his throat. Sales engineering can identify the product configuration. We can't certify field installation from a photograph. The answer costs him something. I can see it. Celia turns to Grant. Who can? He looks toward me. I do not move. The silence is shorter than the one on closure day, but it carries more weight because Grant has had 30 days to prepare for the question. Celia opens the contract binder. The North Star performance warranty requires quarterly verification by qualified personnel with access to commissioning and repair history. Your proposal names Meridian as administrator, accounting as approval authority, sales engineering as technical reviewer, and customer support as the customer contact. She taps the page. Who covers the warranty? Grant begins to describe escalation. Celia stops him. A process with 4 places to send a question is not an answer. The finance director shifts in her chair. What is North Star proposing? Celia slides a term sheet across the table. North Star will renew its equipment and repair agreement with Calder for 5 years, but warranty verification will be independently administered through Harbor. Calder will fund correction of claim errors made during the transition. Disputed technical decisions will follow a documented review process with named owners and response deadlines. Calder keeps the account. It loses the administration margin and some control over claims. Grant reads the numbers. This adds substantial cost. So did denying covered failures, Celia says. The Harbor pilot has operated for 3 weeks and identified 6 incorrect decisions, 2 duplicate payments, and 19 unresolved exceptions, based partly on expertise developed at Calder. Expertise Calder declared redundant. Grant looks down at the term sheet. Wade reaches for his coffee, discovers the cup is empty, and puts it back exactly where it was. The negotiations last 4 hours. They are not clean. Calder challenges Harbor's fees. Naomi reduces the startup charge but refuses unlimited review work. North Star agrees to faster access to remodel schedules. Meridian keeps routine claim intake after accepting narrower authority. Calder insists that independent reviewers cannot direct its field technicians. We create an escalation route through service instead. At one point, Grant catches an error in our projected claim volume. I used a monthly figure as a quarterly one. Correcting it lowers Harbor's fee and weakens one of my arguments. I correct it on the screen. Grant watches me do it. You're comfortable revising that now? It's wrong now. For the first time all day, the corner of Celia's mouth moves. The final agreement is smaller than anyone wanted and more specific than the one Grant brought into the room. Calder signs a conditional renewal subject to resolving the 19 exceptions within 45 days. Harbor receives a 1-year warranty governance contract with quarterly review. 1 year, 4 folding tables, 3 people to start. When the documents come around, Grant signs for Calder with the silver pen from his office. I sign Harbor's implementation schedule beneath Naomi's name. The red grease pencil stays in my pocket. Calder's operational review begins 2 weeks later because the transition costs now have their own line on the lender report. Beth contacts each of us for records relating to the closure. I send the continuity statement, my corrections, Grant's rejection, and my performance reviews. Owen submits the description of his automated duplicate claim work alongside the recruiter's written reference request. Lena provides the unanswered transfer questions Wade sent after her termination. The review does not restore our jobs. It documents that Grant's savings model counted salaries removed, but excluded warranty administration that still had to occur. It also finds that he shortened his own 2-week transfer period to a single morning, so the reduction would appear in that month's figures. He is reassigned away from service operations. Wade tells me this over coffee months later with the careful tone of someone delivering news. He knows I once wanted more than I do now. He's still good at some things, Wade says. I know. He found $3 million in procurement savings that held. I believe it. He'll probably land somewhere. He does. By winter, Grant leaves Calder for a strategy role at an industrial controls company. His announcement describes him as a transformation leader. It does not mention warranty integration. Harbor's first year is not graceful. Priya and I work at folding tables between the parts shelves until Naomi clears out a storage office. Owen accepts the permanent analyst position and negotiates for a decent chair before salary. Lena remains at the parts distributor and bills us ruthlessly for gasket analysis. Darius's decision template becomes the form everyone complains about and no one is permitted to skip. Daniel keeps 2 Saturday shifts longer than we planned. My health insurance is worse. For 3 months, every North Star email makes me fear the pilot is ending. My mother moves into the apartment with the insulting closet. The brass lamp sits beside her chair with a new green shade. She claims this proves she was right about its potential. A year after the closure, I walk through North Star Store 442 during the final inspection of the compressor replacement Meridian first denied. The freezer aisle is bright and cold. Behind the glass, the cases hum at a steady temperature, while Owen compares the controller reading with the service sheet. 37.1, he says. I check the independent sensor. 37.1. He marks the verification, then pats his shirt pockets. You have the pencil. I gave it to you. You took it during the gasket review. I find the red grease pencil in my own pocket, worn almost flat beneath its peeling paper. I hand it over. Owen circles the last verified serial number and passes the sheet to me. Through the glass, the repaired case looks ordinary. That is what good repair work does. It removes the drama and leaves the machine doing what someone promised it would do. I read every line before I sign. Then I return the pencil to my pocket.